Thanks for tuning into my channel. I talk about general topics, things that interest me, things that might interest you. Today I want to talk about being diagnosed with diverticulitis at age 27. I thought I'd delve into the story which led up to my diagnosis, how I've been going since then. I'm now 30 years old. Diverticulitis is considered possibly an old person's disease. It affects your large intestine. People with poor diets or overweight or genetics plays a large role. They do say that younger people, more and more young people are actually getting this type of disease, such as myself. So you've got your appendix and you've got your colon, your transverse colon, which goes across your stomach, your descending colon, your sigmoid colon, and then obviously you've got your rectum and then all the rest of it. So basically what diverticulitis is small bulging pouches of diverticula, and they develop in your digestive tract. So just think of little pockets throughout your large intestine. So when something gets stuck in those pouches, it can become inflamed or infected, and so the condition is called diverticulitis. It was in 2017 when I had an issue with my appendix. I was with a friend and we were working on a car, and I felt very sort of nauseous and faint. I felt like I was going to vomit. Anyway, I didn't let on too much because I didn't think much of it. So what I did was I drove my friend home, and as I was driving home to where I lived, I began feeling very sick. So much so that I thought that maybe I need to pull over. I had thoughts that maybe I would vomit and maybe I would lie on the grass somewhere. Serious thought. Because my parents' house was nearby, I actually drove to my parents' house, and then I had a nap. Woke up, I felt better, and I went home and I told my my girlfriend, and she was obviously a little bit concerned. But I took a long bath and I put it down to muscle soreness because I had been doing quite a bit of physical activity, and went to sleep again. Woke up the next morning. Okay, I'm still feeling like crap. So my girlfriend made me go to the doctor. I think this is a very typical case, and lots of people have probably been in the same situation. I went to the doctor, and the lady that saw me, she said, "I'm 99% sure that you've got appendicitis. You need to go to hospital right now." And of course, my reaction was, no, I should be right. I don't think so. That can't be right. Why? But I did go to hospital. I went to emergency straight after. Things moved very quickly from then on. Within hours, I was in the operating theatre. Your appendix is one of those organs that it needs to come out. Once it's burst, it can cause a lot of issues. So I went in to get my appendix out. I had no real concept of what would actually happen to me. I knew that I would just need to be put under, something would happen, and then I would come out of it and I should be right. So I had my appendix out. I remember waking up and the surgeon said, "Yeah, we got the appendix, no problems." But I had a bit of a look around there, and it turns out you've got diverticulitis. And I said, "Well, what's diverticulitis?" And then he explained, you've got pouches in your large intestine. I thought, that's really odd. Was that the cause of the appendix wanting to burst? To which he wasn't really able to answer on that particular point. But sometimes the appendix, there's a blockage in a tube, and it just causes it to become infected. So diverticulitis, it was very interesting because I'm quite young, or I was quite young at the time of the diagnosis, at 27. I had no symptoms, I felt no pain, no nothing. So after that, I modified my diet And for at least 3 years, I have not eaten any nuts. I don't eat seeds, and I watch my diet. But in saying that, I've been careful, but not that careful. In the 3 years, I would say that I haven't had an attack. Sometimes I've felt achy. If you're in that situation where you get diagnosed with diverticulitis in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it's best that you modify your diet. For me, I occasionally smoked on weekends. I drank sometimes excessively. My background is half Australian, half Chinese, Malaysian, so there definitely could be a genetic issue there, and oftentimes there is a genetic issue. But you really do think about what you've eaten and what your diet's been like. So for my diet, when I was young, I was a vegetarian for 7 years. Perhaps maybe not, not by choice. It just was. It is what it is. And then after I stopped being a vegetarian at about age 13 or 14, I found myself struggling for nutrition and getting my diet right. So I think that I did eat a lot of takeaway food because it was what it was accessible and what was known to me. My home life with cooking food was probably on the poor side, and also my knowledge and information that I had of a proper diet was poor as well. Plus, I just didn't give it much thought. But in terms of going to the toilet for number 2, I never had an issue. I drink a fair bit of coffee, so I never had an issue there. There was no pushing, no real constipation. So it does boggle my mind a little bit. When I first started full-time work, I would buy frozen meals, probably with high sodium content. I bought them because they're cheap and easy. Since my diagnosis, 3 odd years ago, I've stayed away from frozen meals. I basically eat fresh. But from 2017 onwards, because I had no real symptoms or hadn't gone through, some sharp pain or anything like that, became a bit of a backseat in my mind. Of course, I avoided seeds and nuts. So I don't eat popcorn. When I go out for brekkie, my default thing that I say is no garnish or no seeds. I don't like sesame seeds. And they go, well, are you allergic? I go, no, I just don't like them. They don't add anything. And that's kind of true. You have any meal with sesame seeds and it doesn't really add anything except for maybe the look of the dish. So I haven't missed any of that. I did miss popcorn for a little while, but I've given that a miss. Yeah. I hope this video is informative and will help you if you're in a situation where you've been diagnosed with diverticulitis. What it takes is for you to change your diet, for you to exercise and maintain a healthy weight, which I'm sure your doctor has already talked to you about. Give the smokes a miss. Also drinking, if you're a big drinker, beer may flare up your diverticulitis, so it's best if you cool your jets on that. The thing with all of those vices is that it's incredibly difficult to give them up because they're ingrained in your behavior. The neurological pathways are very, very strong. What it takes is finding something else in your life that you can focus on and working towards it. So, for example, if you lived for the weekend, I suggest you keep busy. And what you need to do is you need to pick up a new hobby. You need to keep trying things until they stick. Honestly, eventually, you don't even think about it anymore. It's been well over a year since I've drank. I've drank on a few occasions, but it's been over a year since I've smoked. I used to have FOMO and missing-itis, or whatever you want to call it. But now I'm so busy with my projects, work, family life. I don't have time for it. Reverting back to how you were when you were young, young boy or young girl, you didn't know any of those kind of things, and maybe you might have picked them up in your teenage years or later. So if you're 30 or 40 or 50 and you're still hitting it pretty hard, it might be time to rethink things, and it might be time to just change your ways. You don't have to change who you are. You can still be the life of the party. You can still hang out with your mates. If you feel like your friendships are built upon drinking or smoking or any nefarious activity, you need to ask yourself, is that friendship really, really rock solid? Because if it's not, and you feel awkward just sitting there, not drinking or smoking or whatever with that particular friend, it always has to be a party if you're hanging around them. It could be time to give it a miss. So to recap, things that you need to change your diet. It's non-negotiable. If you think about it from that perspective, you will say to yourself, it's non-negotiable that you drink 3 or 4 litres of water a day. It's non-negotiable that you have veggies and fruit every single day. And if you find yourself struggling with that, like I did, force yourself. And what do I mean by that? Okay, install the never fail water system at home. Get fruit and veggies delivered to your house. Get them delivered to work. Doesn't even matter. Put it on autopilot so you don't have to think about it and really change your behavior. If a delivery of fresh fruit comes to your work and you pay for it every week and it's auto direct debit, the box is going to come. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to eat it. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate all of your support. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.